Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 is the date. It's about 11:25 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity shows a 2.8 here across the area of the Mediterranean region here. Looks like just outside of Turkey for the latest quake there in the red flag. Also, a little small microquake here across the west coast, Northern California, with a little 1.0. We did see a three-pointer over there in Nevada earlier this morning. South of the area that we've been seeing a earthquake swarm here around the Walker Lake area of Nevada. This area has seen quite a bit of earthquake activity and a little cluster coming into this region, about 64 earthquakes in the last week. This most recent activity is a little bit further down south here, where we're seeing that 3.2 near Goldfield, Nevada, early this morning, about 2 miles below the surface here. A little clustering going on here across western Nevada. And of course, this is all indicative here of pressure building out against the west coast, against the plate boundary here itself. Inland earthquake activity like that is strained and stressed due to the interaction here of the plate boundary. And of course, that's the San Andreas Fault, which we'll continue to keep an eye on for some further movement. We have been seeing a lot of uptick here recently across Southern California and inland here in Nevada as well. Just an overall sign of quite a bit of stress out here against the plate boundary. In this area of Southern California, if we pull up 2.5 and above, there was one earthquake here from yesterday. That was a 2.5 near the Bakersfield area. That's a region that's seen that 5.2 a few weeks back now, a couple weeks back now. Still seeing some aftershock sequence there, and also around the Ridgecrest area. A handful of smaller microquakes out here below the 2.5 level as well here in Southern California. Nothing of any increasing activity yet. A handful of earthquakes here across the plate boundary. That's going to be the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. So got movement on the west side and also over here on the eastern side, and some directly on it. So, it's just small microquakes, but good to pay attention to any type of specific movement in and around a very locked area, such as the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. We'll keep an eye on that. Northern California, fairly quiet aside from some earthquake activity from yesterday. Pacific Northwest as well. Got a handful of earthquakes up here around Mount Rainier. Nothing big. A couple smaller earthquakes there at the surface level, it looks like. Little 0.4. I do want to double check that real quick. Let me run over to the tremor map. By the way, this was yesterday's tremor. About 570 epicenters of tremor. It's been ongoing here for a couple weeks now. Mainly up here across the Washington area, adding strain up here across the Cascadia and the Pacific Northwest in general. Let me check out the Mount Rainier seismograph station up here. There's a couple of those small quakes up here. I was going to call them squakes, but I don't even think that's occasionally I come up with some new words out here. So yeah, one of those days. I'm racking my brain here with the new fall semester, so I'm trying to get it back into gear, trying to get the gears rolling a little bit. All right, there's a couple of those small earthquakes there in the red circles last 2 hours. I'm going to check up the seismograph station here real quick, see what we have. That one's not working. Let's see here. Maybe this one down here? I believe this is the one that's almost always on here. And wow, that's just overblown here. Not for sure if there was some wind events out there or not, but that's over amplified, I feel. All these little marks here, they don't look like earthquakes. It looks like some type of outside interference here. So it's hard to tell exactly, if there's any earthquake activity there in the mix. That one's just as chaotic looking. Like I said, it could be some wind up there. Could be outside interference, but goodness, hard to tell, right? Hard to decipher any earthquake activity out there when the graphs look like this. I don't think... let me see if this other station up here works. A little bit further north. Camp Sherman. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit more manageable. You can see some of the smaller earthquake activity out there. This is very small. earthquakes. In fact, at one point, or it was a point 0.4, right, within the last couple hours here. Man, it could be anywhere. It possibly could be this one right here, but that's been that was a few hours ago. So maybe a handful of smaller quakes out here, but they're very tiny earthquakes out there. All right, let's see. Nothing going on through Yellowstone National Park. Scooting down here through Texas area. A lot of this activity from yesterday or overnight. Some very small microquake movement out here. But generally somewhat quiet out here, right? Pecos, Texas, out here around western Texas, really not seeing anything. A little odd. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity going on there for now. Eastern portion of the country, got another earthquake out here in South Carolina near Jackson. A little 1.9 from yesterday, but really nothing new out here today. Look at the broader scale activity around the world here. The largest magnitude going to be that 5.8 from yesterday there into the Indonesia Islands area. Aside from that, so far today, after midnight, we've seen just a 4.9 earthquake here outside of Afghanistan area. Eastern Afghanistan, about 26 miles deep there into that area. So, you know, seismic activity taking a little quiet turn for now. Really not seeing any major uptick going on here. Let me check out the broader scale of things. Another 3.9 up along the Aleutian Trench, right around where that 5-pointer struck yesterday. Getting a little bit of swarming going on here across the Japan area. Seen some 4s and a couple 3s in there as well. That's going to be this region right about here, just right about the plate boundary here, this triple point area where a number of plates meet together. There's a couple different subduction zones here as well, off to the west and to the east here. 4.6 from today and a 4.2 from today as well, and as noted, a couple other 3s in there as well. And in general, it does look like some strain being put against the Filipino plate here, which is this kind of a diamond shaped layout, this plate right here. And of course, got to keep an eye here on the subduction zone, the warning that was put out here for a megaquake a couple weeks back there from the Japanese government there. You know, they feel like something is brewing out here, and that the strain is quite high for a megaquake in this subduction zone area. So watching that in general, but definitely a noticeable uptick here across the northern end of the Filipino plate. That subduction zone sitting right off here where they feel a megaquake will take place. And some activity stirring up there into the Philippines as well. Aside from that, down south, New Zealand, for some reason, 3s are the magic numbers across New Zealand. It's always a 3.1, 3.3, really nothing bigger than that. Just a couple 3s out there in the last 24 hours. Some deeper movement there underneath North Island, as it has been here over the past couple months. And got a deep earthquake up around the Tonga Trench once again, a 4.8 from fairly recent, it looks like, from this morning. Going to be this quake right here, 4.8, 90 miles deep here into the, yeah, it looks like the northern end here of the Kermadec Trench. Major subduction zone area out here. Just a different name. All right, anything else going on here? South America area, let's see what we got. Yeah, 2.7 looks like coming in right now. This is kind of a pancake layer of deeper quakes and shallow adjustment, mid-range quakes, all of various magnitudes here. This is a major subduction zone area called the Peru-Chile Trench, and you know, it's similar to any other subduction zone area like the Middle America Trench up here, the Peru-Chile Trench in the South America region. It's almost always seen earthquake activity, but yesterday, you know, there was quite a few 4s up north of where the ongoing swarming is occurring right now in this area. So a little bit southward migration here into the Chile area, and that seems to be the common play out. We'll watch a lot of activity start north and work its way down south here across the plate boundary. And of course, this area, you know, back in 1960 seen the largest earthquake ever recorded, at least in our history, right? Who knows what's happened You know, maybe hasn't been discovered yet, but in our history, a 9.5 back in 1960 there, the Great Chilean Earthquake. That was a big one. So that activity is right around that region there that we're seeing today. So keep an eye on it. I don't think there's enough strain for a 9-pointer out here, but you never know. It's a major subduction zone area. Puerto Rico region here, couple smaller quakes here, really nothing big. In fact, this area has been somewhat quiet. We did have a 4.8 a couple days back here, right about the time we've seen an earthquake over here along the Middle America Trench. In fact, looks like about an hour later, following this 5.8 from a couple days ago, we've seen adjustment over here across the northeastern edge here of the Caribbean plate. And of course, this is a major subduction zone area over here as well. Puerto Rico Trench, you got the Mariotos Trough here, which can produce some earthquakes as well. And yeah, that adjustment taking place almost immediately following the 5.8 over here. And the general strain here, movement is in this area here. Puts a lot, when there's earthquakes here across the Middle America Trench and some of these other plate boundaries here, that adds a lot of strain out here against the Caribbean plate. So almost immediate adjustment taking place there a couple days ago. But since then, it's kind of quiet. Let's see what else we have out here across the world. 1.6 coming into Oklahoma, it looks like. Nothing, like I say, nothing major going on right now. A little 4.6 out in the, oh wow, is that Madagascar area? Let's see, just outside of there. That's a little odd earthquake. Don't really see too much earthquake activity out there in that region. In fact, I don't recall the last time I seen anything out there. But it is in a zone, it looks like, that has seen some historical earthquake activity out in this region. So, yeah, a little odd one. There's the activity out in the Greece area, 4.5 from yesterday. But on the earthquake 3D globe there, it seems like we got a little bit of some smaller microquake activity in the general region as well today. The Atlantic Ocean, as you can see across the globe, with a flat ball. I mean, I guess it's flat if you look at it as a 2D perspective, but not a whole lot going on through the Atlantic Ocean. Let's go check out the live from Iceland site here, see if anything has changed in the last 12 hours or so. We still got one decent lava fountain going on here. Looks like the same location as past couple days. There's a lava field out there. Let's see here. Here's a broader perspective of the area. Yeah, only just one region showing some active activity. Still producing clouds there. That's so crazy. A couple days ago, the heat and the steam and the vapors from all this lava fountaining produced a massive cumulus cloud up there. It was beautiful. Absolutely stunning how fires and lava flows and volcanoes can create, you know, its own weather in the environment above it. It's crazy, but it got a lot of cold air up above the surface. Got that convection going on there from the fire and the heat. It's just neat to look. I wish I could produce my own weather here in Northern California. I'd have clouds and thunderstorms 24/7 out here if I could. Not even joking. So let's go see what's going on here across Iceland in terms of earthquake activity. Things should be dying down, right? If we're looking at, you know, free flow of magma up to the surface. Still got a decent amount of earthquake activity out here, mainly on the northern section here of where that current vent activity is. So there's always still a little bit concerned that we could see a little bit further fissure activity opening up north here. Let me go see what the official statements are here from the Icelandic Met Office. This update was put out, looks like yesterday. The largest volcanic eruption in the crater series area. Land rise is still measured in Svartsengi. So it looks like all measurements here, at least from this ongoing, you know, eruption In fact, the volume of magma underneath this area was at its highest level observed since any previous eruption here in this area since November, or it looks like autumn of 2023 is the highest measurements out here of this area. So with the accumulation of magma that's been observed here prior to this eruption, we could see this extend for a little while in terms of the period and the length of this eruption. Although, you know, it's hard to say how long it's going to last. Got to look at these, where'd they go? These run times here. And this tells us in general how much depletion of the magma below has taken place since this eruption. Here's an area around the Grindavik area, right? I think this is just outside of town. Notice that land rise there, or inflation ongoing there since the last eruption back in the end of May, our most current eruption here in August. Huge drop, and it's still going down there. So depletion is still an ongoing process here across this area of Iceland. Could go on for a little while in terms of this ongoing fountaining there at the northern end of that fissure. So we'll continue to watch it, but yeah, just a rinse and repeat cycle, with this one being the largest so far in all of these eruptions that we've been watching. Hawaii, I know I forgot to check that last night, so let's zoom in and check out Kilauea Volcano here, where we're seeing a little bit of uptick here today, some 1s and 2s out there across the area of the Upper East Rift Zone. Let's give a quick glance here at some of the charts. This is the most recent inflation chart here, showing leveling off, stationary. Here's the last week, last month or so. Notice we've climbed up a little bit here, but yeah, it's hard to say exactly what's going to take place here with this one. I think we're at a point here where we need to see either a huge flux of magma from below to intensify the activity here, or it may just sit like this for a little bit without any eruption. But there is a lot of accumulation of magma directly underneath this area of the Upper and the Middle East Rift Zone, with really no sign of anything changing. Periodically we get these little earthquake swarms, and that's about it. But nothing major is going on here for now. Like I said, I think we need a little bit more push from below into the area to get things moving out here, in terms of whether we see an eruption up here at the Upper or Middle East Rift Zone, or maybe even a magma intrusion event off somewhere else. But for now, it is as it is, just kind of a ongoing thing here to watch. All right, space weather activity, anything major going on here? Doesn't look like it. Just a little bit of sea flare movement. No major auroras here in the forecast, folks. Kind of quiet, even though we have numerous sunspots here. They are all relatively stable. Separation of some cores there. I mean, these are massive visible sunspots, and if you got a nice solar camera, a solar lens there with your telescope, these are very visible. The magnetogram image out here shows the complexity or lack of complexity with many of these sunspots. Looking at a separation here of the core of this area, 3800. That's been a source of some M flare and C flare activity recently, but it's taken a little break there, it looks like. And there's really not a whole lot else here that warrants any type of large flare threat. Just looking at that map, I'm not. Well, yeah, the X flare has dropped down a little bit to 20%. I don't even think it's at that level. M flare dropped from 70 to 65. C flare at 99% chance, but there's not a whole lot of growing areas out there that I can see that warrants any type of huge flare threat for now. Storm Prediction Center out here. Day 1 outlook here on this Tuesday. We got, well, a little bit of slight risk category there across the Great Lakes area. even a 2% chance here of tornado activity around Green Bay and Milwaukee. So if you're out there today, watch out for those thunderstorms, as they could spin up a little bit of, who knows, maybe some water spouts out there over the lakes. Some wind and some hail threat out there as well, as we go about the afternoon and evening when these things tend to fire up. Aside from that, let's take a look at long-term models here in terms of cool downs or warm-ups. California is starting to cook out here again after, over the weekend we've seen temperatures down into the low 70s with even some showers around my neck of the woods. It's beautiful. But we're going to be back up above 100 degrees here for the remainder of this week. Blue down here, or up here, indicating some troughing there, some cooler, below average temperatures. Orange indicate ridging and high pressure, and above average temperatures there. The darker the orange, the hotter it will be. As we put this into motion here, we got this low pressure trough kind of scooting to the east here along the jet stream. Look at this massive ridge of high pressure building out across the Pacific Northwest. Gonna cook us here for a little bit. And then we got some cool down going on there across the Northeast with a little bit of a low pressure clipper here to bring some fall weather, early fall weather to the Northeast. And after that, well, I don't know, towards the middle of September, looks like we may have some troughing out here across the West Coast. Maybe have a little bit of a relief from the high temperatures. But we got some hundreds coming up here this week for California. And I guess it is what it is. I can't really change the weather. Again, if I could, I'd have showers and thunderstorms out here pretty much all day and all night. But that's just me, right? Have a good one, folks. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. Got a bunch of school stuff I got to catch up on here. It's the first week of the fall semester here in Northern California at the college, so got a lot to do. And just kind of getting my brain back into the working, thinking mode again, right? Education mode. Seismograph stations out here, pretty quiet. Little spike of an earthquake on Petrolia there in Northern California, but aside from that, pretty quiet out there. You guys have a good day. Enjoy your Tuesday, and we will catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. Stay safe.